probably going to run out of time on this. Is anyone going to jump up?
Call Gareth Hughes.
Thank you, Mr Chair. I'd also like to touch on the points made by the Honourable Member Stuart Nash regarding consultations, which is clauses 3 to 6 and 8 to 15. I guess it's always been a vexed issue is what happens with levies and the ownership and governance when those levies are collected and how it's actually spent. I think we share some of the concerns around the adequate and appropriate level of consultation if it's just token. I'd note in New Zealand we don't have the strong energy community advocacy groups which are so prominent overseas. In other countries, they have very professional organisations who can have a statutory or even a semi-judicial function to advocate for their consumers, which we don't have in New Zealand. I'd note it's publicly available that there were 4 submitters principally opposed to the use of levies to fund ECA's activity. The Major Gas Users Group, Business NZ, Major Electricity Users Group and the Motor Industry Association. I guess our fear is that these professional and coordinated and organised groups could play a predominant or overwhelming response in the consultation. We can't just leave it up to grey power to advocate for energy consumers in New Zealand, I guess is my main point. I would also point out to those organisations that in many respects they are the beneficiaries of the work of ECA. Every consumer, big and small, business or residential in New Zealand, benefits when we invest in energy efficiency and conservation. Perhaps part of the problem in New Zealand, and when you look at a recent OECD report, we've in fact got the lowest energy intensity ratings, one of the lowest energy intensity ratings in the entire developed world, because we use energy less efficiently than most other countries. Now, it might not sound like much, but effectively we're burning and throwing away billions of dollars, if you listen to the former CEO, Mike Underhill, in terms of energy that we're using or burning that we don't have to. So what I'd prefer is we had a true public conversation around investing in ECA. Now, I note officials in response to some of those groups who were opposed to the even idea of a levy funding some of ECA's activities, that it only funds less than half of ECA's work. Now, I think if these businesses were looking at some of their international peers, they would be more actively engaged in supporting the work of ECA and seeing the levy not as a cost to their bottom line, but an investment which is benefiting their bottom line. Because with such low energy intensity, New Zealand businesses are less competitive vis-a-vis other countries overseas because we're spending more on getting oil to New Zealand, burning oil less efficiently, paying more for electricity than we had to, investing in equipment and plant and product which is less efficient than overseas competitors. We can't keep competing if this is going to be the case. So I urge those organisations to get behind it. This is a huge missed opportunity over previous years, but also a huge low-hanging fruit for New Zealand. I've got a true vision that we could be investing in energy efficiency and conservation, not seeing it as a nice-to-have or a marginal benefit or a side occupation. This should be at the heart of New Zealand's energy policy, because this is going to target the true energy poverty issues that we see in New Zealand. When we invest only in business-targeted approaches for the bulk of ECA's work, I think it's quite legitimate, as Stuart Nash questioned, for who's actually going to be dominating those consultations. Because what we have seen in recent years is ECA moving away from the large-scale huge benefit programs. For example, the Warm Up New Zealand scheme, which insulated 300,000 homes and didn't have any of the problems the Australian energy efficiency scheme had with their insulation rollout. Move away from these mass, huge benefit programs towards more business-targeted approaches. We see, for example, investing in boilers, which is good work, but this has become the bulk of ECA's work. What I'd like to see is the ability for this consultation to be true and appropriate to involve consumers, because despite having insulated 300,000 homes, we know there's more than, say, 700,000 substandard homes, and in New Zealand we've got 40,000 trips being made by kids to hospital every year as a result of cold, damp housing. So when you're looking at clauses 3 to 8, it's important that the consultation is adopted appropriately, Mr Chair.
Matt Ducey.
Can be now, Pod.
I'll hear it from Stuart Nash.
Thank you very much, Mr Chair.